This reflection focuses on APST 3.4 instructional resources through a Year 7 Economics Hood segment on scarcity and opportunity cost, which I presented for the Year 7 SimLab micro-teaching. For the lesson, I used instructional resources to help the students follow along, which were a printed $100 note slide, a keyboard, a mouse, a bag of lollies, and a printed slide showing two sneakers, male and female. I held each one up as I named it to the students and showed it to them throughout the lesson whenever I mentioned them. As I was approaching the activity, I made an impromptu decision. I removed the mouse from the list of options available and only used 4 resources instead of 5, as that I had originally planned, because having 5 items was difficult to bring up to the camera, and students would likely forget that the first resource by the time I had completed the 5th. Research does back up this decision. Sweller states that novice learners have limited working memory capacity and that too much visual information at once occupies cognitive space that should be used for learning the actual concept, which he terms as extraneous load. Mayer and Sims research does build on this, showing that a visual with corresponding spoken words reduces the cognitive load, but the students are not left holding an idea in their head unsupported. Using 4 clear resources instead of 5 suited the Year 7 group better, as clarity mattered more than completely following the lesson plan to the letter. The personal anecdote about choosing a video game instead of a mouse when I was in Year 7 while holding up the mouse was something different that was initiated by a question from Ethan. Schnuck and DiBento, writing about Bandura, described this as modeling your own thinking out loud, giving students an example of how to think rather than just information that they need to remember. The biggest impact of the resources was keeping students focused on the topic and not necessarily how much they engaged. Peer feedback from after the session picked up on this too, as they described the resources that I had as informative, and the students had answered clearly when they could see one without needing me to repeat the question. However, the resources didn't help keep attention when nothing was being shown. Ethan lost focus at a point in the lesson when no resource was in view. If I taught this lesson again, I'd consider keeping something visual present, even during parts of the lesson involving more talking and less showing, since the times without a resource seems to coincide with when the students seem to lose focus. Ultimately, this comes back to memory. Attention is the pathway for those cognitive and social cognitive processes to actually take hold.